that is, we're going to use a fancy word here, equidistant. Means equal distances from when measured along the line from both endpoints. All right, so it's the point on a line segment that is equidistant. You could leave out that measured along the line part if you want to make it a little easier to understand. The point on a line segment that is equidistant from both endpoints. What's an easy way I could say that? Point in the middle, right? The point exactly in the middle. So sometimes you can do this really easily with a graph. So let's see if we can do this one. We've got A is at negative 5, 10. And B is at 7, negative 2. All right, look at that and try to find the midpoint. We're just looking at it right now. Anybody think they know what it is? Yeah. You can close your computer so we won't need those anymore. All right, what do you think?
5.
Right here, 0, 5. Yeah. Okay, let's see if that is right. So if I I'm gonna make a triangle for that one. So the side of this triangle is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If I make a triangle here, oh, I'm not sure about that. Those triangles look the same size. So I think you're close, but not quite there. Marley is saying maybe it's 1, 4. Let's try that. Are those triangles the same size? Yeah. So that would be the same distance. So this would be 1, 4. Now, as you can imagine, just looking at the graph is probably not going to be our best bet for this because we saw that Julian messed it up the first time, right? He was close, but not quite there. We're also going to see situations like this next one. So we got 3, 8. 3, 8 is right here. Negative 2, 1. We're going to graph both of those. Pick it up, Julian. All right. So, who wants to take a guess at this one? What point looks halfway? What do you think, Zach? 0.5, 4.5, so right here. Okay, I think that looks pretty good. So if I make the triangles here, this side is 2.5, this side is 3.5, this side would be 3.5, this side would be 2.5, so I think that's good. But that one's definitely not that easy to come up with because you're looking at points that are in between our grid lines, right? So that makes it a little bit harder to come up with. If I gave you points like 1.7, 2.3, and negative 4.8, 2.9, if I gave you decimals, it'd become almost impossible to do it exactly right using the graph. So the graph can help you, and I would encourage you to use the graph if you are stuck on something. But just graphing is not going to be our best bet. So the way that we can do this algebraically is you can find the midpoint of a line segment by finding the average of the x-coordinates and the average of the y-coordinates. How do we find an average? What do you think, Marley? Okay, very good. So if I have the points, I'm going to just call them x1 and y1, and the other point x2 and y2 just means our first x, our first y, our second x, our second y. So if I have these, let's see, then I want to find the midpoint formula. If I want to average the x's, then I would add them together, x1 plus x2, and I would divide by 2. And if I want to average the y's, I would do y1 plus y2, and I would divide that by 2. Right? That finds the average. Add them together, divide by how many there are. There are only 2. And make sure you have this written down. This is your midpoint formula. So if you don't write anything else down, make sure you write that right there down. Okay. The big difference in this formula from distance is what are we doing with our x's? Before we divide them, we are adding. Lots of students miss these because they subtract them. Because for distance formula, we have to subtract our x's, right? Here, you're adding together, dividing by 2. Think about what it means to take an average. So let's just do a few problems. All right. Find the midpoint of each line segment with the given endpoints. So if I want to find the midpoint here for number 3, I'm going to average my x's. So I'm going to take x1, which is negative 6. I'm going to add the 10, so negative 10. I'm going to divide by 2. For the y's, I will do the same thing. 11 plus 18 divided by 2. So negative 6 plus negative 10 is negative 16 divided by 2. And then 11 plus 18 is 29 divided by 2. So half of negative 16 would be negative 8. Half of 29 would be 14.5. And so this would be our midpoint. I'm just going to use Desmos really quickly. It is a good idea if it's on calculator active. These problems, I'm going to let you use a calculator for them, but you could see them on either calculator active or calculator inactive. It's a really good idea for these. If you graph them, you got these 2 points. Graph your answer, which we got negative 8, 14.5, and make sure that they're in a line and that that green dot looks like it's in the middle, right? Because let's say that you forgot your negative here and you get an answer of 8, 14.5. So this was your x and this was your y. Those were your 2 points. And your answer is over here. Is that going to be our midpoint? Definitely not. So it's a good idea if these show up on calculator active to type them in and check them. Okay? All right. Vince, tell me what I would do for number 4. All right, everybody put their computers away, please. We do not need computers right now. I will graph it up here if we want to look at the graph. Okay. All right. So, Vince, what would we do for this one? Okay, and so that will look like this. 5 plus 4 over 2. And then what do I do for the second part? Okay, so negative 9 plus negative 16 over 2. When I do the 5 plus 4, what will I get, Vince? Good, so I got 9 halves, and then what do I get for the second part, Vince? Good, negative 25. Oh. Over 2. And so you can do like this, or you could do a decimal, 4.5, and negative 12.5. All right, questions so far? All right, Peyton, what would we do for the last one? Oh, plus 521. Add together, divide by 2. And then for the second part, nope, 340. Okay, so tell me what we get for that second one. Very good. Okay, so Peyton made the mistake I said was going to be the mistake, right? He subtracted instead of adding. For midpoint, you're adding together, dividing by 2. So be careful with that. All right, so I'm going to stop here. We got 6 minutes. Our homework, I'm going to take part of it off. Get out your computer. Because I know we've only got 6 minutes, but I think you can finish this. Because I'm going to edit this assignment because we didn't get through everything, which I wasn't sure if we would. Go to Delta Math. I'm going to take this one off. All right, so all you have for this is 5 midpoint problems, just straight midpoint problems. So all you got to do is find the midpoint here. For these problems, they'll look like this. So see how many you can get done.